breaking my heart. You're going down a path I can't follow. The Prequels Strike Back is a documentary by Bradley Weatherholt. It was released in 2016, and you can go onto the prequelstrikeback.com, pay about $3 for it, and watch it for 3 days, or give him $10 and own it for life. It came out in 2016, so prior to The Force Awakens coming out, and if you hadn't guessed by The Force Awakens and the prequels reference, it's a Star Wars documentary. The synopsis is: the Star Wars prequels trilogy is the most debated chapter in cinema's greatest franchise. But what if moviegoers were only examining the films from a certain point of view? Filled with commentary from passionate fans and scholars of cinema, The Prequels Strikes Back follows the travels of a bewildered fan as he attempts to unlock the method behind the cinema's most controversial trilogy and George Lucas. I was going to watch a documentary about the making of The Phantom Menace. I remember watching it, I think, not long after The Phantom Menace came out, and I just wanted to rewatch it again just to see if I could see what went wrong, because I just watched all the prequels again, and Phantom Menace, that used to be my favourite, is now my least favourite film. That is the worst one, absolutely hands down the worst one, so I wanted to have a look at that. In searching for that, I found this documentary, and I was kind of intrigued because this one's trying to say, hey there kids, what if the prequels are good? And I just don't believe that personally. So I wanted to see what this documentary had to offer. Are the prequels good? Are they actually cinematic masterpieces? And is George Lucas underrated? Unfortunately, it never really convincingly for me answers any of these. And he and fans of this film and people who are journalists and directors defend these films in the oddest of ways. Did you know that in actual fact he was on location more for the filming of this than he was in the original trilogy? They didn't use as much CGI as you think. Nope, he was on location more. Well, whoop-de-bloody do? Who gives a toss? Do you know that people found C-3PO and R2-D2 quite annoying to begin with? I can believe that was a bit of a change, yeah? Well, did you know Jar Jar Binks was meant to be like the C-3PO of this trilogy? No, he wasn't. No, he was not at all. Lucas was quoted as saying he was the Chewbacca. He was meant to just be this constant sidekick throughout. But they had to write him out of a second two and give him put him much more at the back because people were fuming at how annoying this character was.
Hi there, Mr. Constructor Binks. It's a time for a little boogie.
Jesus.
So one of the other things that goes on is like how subtle George is, how clever he is in his directing. Saying how he mirrors the first ones very subtly and carefully. How you can see works of 1930s films, 1940s films and arcs within the prequels. That may be true, but it doesn't take away from scenes like...
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick.
It doesn't take away from the... oh, that's another one. Well, why he decided to go for the love story was a classic Canterbury Shakespearean theme that you would have very, very classic, very kind of like gentlemanly, cheesy, looking at the lady from across the room. All right. And it's very clever how he did it, isn't it? No, it wasn't. It was not clever. It was cringy and horrible to watch.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. Not like here. Here everything is soft and smooth.
Putting subtle things amongst whilst you're filming, just putting something subtly somewhere means nothing. The music, they go into the music, and you know what? That's fascinating. The music is actually really, as a musician or muso, I would say that really interests me. The subtle chords, the fact that there's actually themes, literal themes from the first movies hidden in the themes of the second. I think it's very, very clever. But that was John Williams. Again, not George. Couldn't give a monkey's. It's like the whole film is like a real homage to George, and I respect the man. He started Star Wars, okay? And it shows how he found the Lucasfilm, which pioneered technology in film and pushed things forward so that we have a lot of cinema like we do today. But you can't tell me, just because the guy's good at some stuff and started some other stuff, that all his stuff is good. You can't. You can try, but you'll fail. At the end of the day, I mean, a great example I always think of is Russell T Davies. He rejuvenated and brought back Doctor Who after it had been dead for like 15 years or whatever. Was he a good guy? Yeah, I think he was really great. Was everything he did great? No. There's that terrible episode with Peter Kay in. So the worst episode, Russell T Davies wrote and commissioned an episode where Peter Kay is in it. The Doctor's not in it at all, nearly, like not at all, and it's a couple of people slowly falling in love whilst trying to hunt down the Doctor. Peter Kay's character is actually an evil alien who turns one of them into a tile. You heard me right, he turns them into a tile. By the end of it, that couple get together and they insist on trying to tell you how you have sex with a tile. Is Russell T Davies a good creative genius? Yes, to an extent, but not everything he touches is fantastic. Same with Spielberg. Look at AI. And that was him finishing off Kubrick. At the end of the day, it is a total difference of it. It is a matter of opinion. But for me, this feels like almost propaganda. It feels like this is why you should like the prequels, because George Lucas is amazing. I'll agree with the end part, but I just won't agree with the middle part. You can't tell me that just because he's done all this that the prequels are great. That's just not how life works. It was an interesting watch for someone who likes music, for someone who, if you are into writing movies, making movies, you kind of think of yourself as maybe a director, producer, cameraman. Interesting stuff in this. Genuinely interesting stuff. Would recommend for that. But are you going to get any closure from the prequels? No. You're if you go into this liking the prequels, you'll end up liking them more. If you go into this thinking that you hated the prequels, you might end up coming out of them still hating them, but kind of admiring John Williams' score more. The Prequels Strike Back, I would give that 2 out of 5 docs.
I've lost her, Marty. There's nothing left for me here.
Not a terrible documentary. I think it just really irked me in the way it was speaking to me. But you might like it. So I'd still recommend going to prequelstrikeback.com, give the guy $3 and watch it. Just watch it. If you're a Star Wars fan, it might get you as irked up as I am. It might calm you down and bring you to a nice place. A place I haven't been in a long, long time. What did you think of the prequels, and what did you think of that documentary if you've seen it already? Don't forget to rate, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Head over to www.talknerdy.uk where you can see more of these and also listen to our podcasts. And coming up soon, we will be doing a podcast on the prequels. At least I hope we will, because then it means I watched them all again for nothing. I love you all. Keep talking nerdy. Peace.